Hi everyone, it's Dr. Ramani and welcome back to this YouTube channel on narcissism, narcissistic relationships, and healing from narcissistic relationships. So this is a uniquely positive video for me, but I'm going to do it because I think it's an important one. There was a beautiful article in the New York Times. The link to the article is in the video notes. It does require a subscription, so I know some of you won't be able to read it. But the article is by someone named Jancy Dunn, and she was reflecting on a conversation she had had with her young child's teacher, whom she asked the question. She said, "What do you do with a child who's feeling overwhelmed emotionally?" And the teacher responded, "I ask them if they want to be helped, hugged, or heard." Now the article is actually about how do you connect with somebody who you love is going through something. But she got this wisdom from this teacher. Now, what I loved about the article is that I think many of us who do love someone who's going through something, we often feel like we're at a loss. What do? How do I approach someone who is going through something? A divorce, a breakup, they lost their job, they've been dealing with an ill family member, their child is going through something, there was a death, they're going through a death or the loss of someone, or they've gotten a health diagnosis, or they're going through a toxic relationship, any of them. I think many of us grapple of how do I be there for someone? And sometimes because we don't know, we might make the terrible mistake of not reaching out at all, which is never. People always want to hear from you, and even if they don't respond, it's a huge mistake to not reach out to someone you care about when they're going through something and you know it. Just reach out to them. That always works. But beyond just the text reach out thinking of you, people are like, what else can I do? How do I not mess this up? So that's where this article is great, just for all of us who are healthy, trying to be healthy, loving people. Now, needless to say, this framework may not work within your narcissistic relationships. But again, as I read the article, it struck me that this could be so powerful for people who want to be supporters for people who may be in any number of toxic situations, including narcissistic relationships. Or to even use this as a framework to articulate what you need. People who are experiencing narcissistic relationships are often concerned that they are burning out the people around them if they keep talking about the relationship. The rumination, the confusion. Sometimes you just feel like you need to talk it out because you're in such an altered reality. But the fact is, there's not often a solution to these situations. Leaving is not always an option, or at least it's definitely probably not an option you can act on today. But this idea of, do you want to be helped, heard, or hugged, could also help you as a survivor to determine what you might need from someone. Survivors of narcissistic abuse a long time ago have had their needs so shamed and devalued that it becomes all but impossible to consider asking for what you need, because you often just don't know anymore. But in all of this, like I said, survivors often don't know what they need or want. So while it may be simple, when you're going through something and reflecting on what's it going to be, do I want to be helped or heard or hugged, just reflecting on that can help you with healthy people in your midst to articulate what it is that you need. And this same wisdom can be carried to folks who want to help people who are experiencing narcissistic relationships. For starters, a lot of people out there in the world at large don't understand narcissism and narcissistic relationships. We're still in an era where the belief is that narcissistic people are simply self-obsessed and vain. It's just not that simple. I wish that it were, but it's not. But if you are someone who wants to be there for someone going through this, contemplate this very same ask that this children's teacher said. Ask the person. Ask them, is there any way I can help you? Or do you want a listening ear or just a hug? It can help the people who want to be a support and be a help to people experiencing narcissistic abuse, have a framework to be able to help. And it can also lift the onus off a person who's been through a narcissistic relationship who's still not very good at articulating what it is they need, but making it multiple choice a little easier. There's a certain amount of helplessness that narcissistic abuse can evoke for survivors who know that they are in a situation in which things are not going to change. You know that your relationship's not going to change. And for the people who care about them, who see that someone they care about is struggling in that kind of a relationship. Even for me as a clinician who works with folks going through this, sometimes most of what I do is the herd. Hearing them talk it out, slowly put it down, see it clearly, and not feel judged. That's what hearing is. And this goes beyond just narcissistic abuse. I loved the article because it became, like I said, an accessible frame for being a supporter for anyone going through any number of things, all the various things, including not only all the things I said, but also mental health challenges. We are a society of fixers. We want to fix things. The internet, social media, it's all about the fix. Meditate for 20 minutes, drink green juice, take a pill, read a book. Sometimes people need something else, and some things can't be fixed. And sometimes the doing and the helping and the trying to solve may make us feel better, but it may not be what the other person needs. The hardest thing about trying to help someone else is helping them where they're at. Again, I found this framework to be so sweet and elegant. And while the person, like I said, who wrote it was sharing the wisdom of a primary school teacher, I have to say that sometimes in a world that seems to be so lacking in empathy and compassion, we just need strategies for approaching those amongst us who are in need and give them choices of what that need may be. It may not always be trying to fix something that can't be fixed. And to all the people out there going through narcissistic abuse, take a minute and think about from any given person if you need to be helped, heard, or hugged. Give yourself permission to ask for that. To the folks out there who are being supporters, offer the three options. You don't assume you know which was the best one. But again, it's getting off that fix it, rescue, make it better train of like, I'm going to solve this problem. The hardest part about narcissistic abuse, not just for survivors, but for supporters, even for therapists, is that there is no easy solution. There is no fix. It is really about, again, that slow coming back into yourself, giving yourself permission to slowly start exerting yourself separate from the relationship, the radical acceptance, tolerating the grief. That's a lot. You ain't going to do that over a cup of coffee. But sometimes you would be shocked at how much just being heard can be a game changer and in a non-judgmental way. And sometimes it doesn't even have to be about words. Sometimes all a person needs is the reassuring hug that comes from someone that they trust, feel safe with, and care about. So again, from the mouths of babes and the teachers who teach them, I loved this article. Again, we have the link in the notes because I thought it's a much bigger article than I'm getting into, but just that tagline grabbed me, and I thought it would be a great strategy for supporters and for survivors. Thanks again.